Hello everyone and welcome back. Got me books, so shall we? Hope you remember where we were, because I'm not going back. One example of the inadequacy of certain parental edicts is in the matter of sex outside of marriage. The red flags of pregnancy and venereal disease waged more or less successfully by parents through the generations. Now both have come down because of the discoveries of science. There is still the very real consequence of bringing shame on the family, although this is not as important as it once was. And it's even less important now. Since today, though, non-marital sexual experience is seen with a positive attitude among many of the parents' peer group. It is also glorified in Playboy, in advertising, in the movies, and in fact in many aspects of the world of grown-ups. The adult view can be quite different as it asks the question, what does this do to people? Reverend Forrest A. Aldrich phrases the predicament in this way. And before I do, I'm going to quickly jump in because this is what I've got to do now. One thing I will say is that it's, of course, sexual conservatism is, or liberalism, however you want to look at it, is a good thing either way, as long as it's what you actually want. And that's the main thing. It's got to be what you want, not what society dictates or people around you decide. It's about what you want and what you actually feel. One thing I will say is that one of the downsides of waiting until you're married, I mean, I'm not being in personal experience, I'm speaking from other people's experiences, is that you have no way of knowing whether you're actually sexually compatible. And that is a big thing. And that is one of the keys to a healthy marriage as well, being compatible in the bedroom. Because, not everyone wants the same thing. Some people aren't really into it and just want, the basics. Other people want more. I mean, if it turns out that you just want the basics and your partner wants more, there's going to be problems. Because you can only compromise so much, and as I always say, compromise is good, but you shouldn't do it too much. Sometimes you should just be you. And sometimes you should just let your partner be who they are. Right, let's get this quote read, shall we? Let's see what the Reverend Forrest says. Many young people take the attitude that if two people agree to sex and both agree that it is not to be a lasting involvement, and no one is hurt, then what harm is it? The hurt is that something of value, sex, has been devalued. It has been casual, not worth all that could be derived from it. The point is to get through the experience safely. The sin of premarital sex is not something that was given, but that not enough was given. Okay? Seems the reference sort of disagrees with me. Although I will say now, I've known few people over years who have tried to do the friends with benefits thing, and each one of those people who tried it got bitten in the arse for it. Not that I'm saying you shouldn't do it, but all I'll say is now, just be careful. Today's good arrangement could always end up hurting you in the future, so just be careful out there, people, okay? Just be careful. There are no doctrinal absolutes, except the evil of using persons as things, even if one of those persons is oneself. If in the long run a transitory allowance produces a lack of self-esteem and a reinforcement of the not okay position, then sex outside of marriage has provided only a physical release from tension and has not produced the ongoing ecstasy of two people who share unlimited liability for each other. How can one honour this relationship in an unlimited way when there are many others who have a prior claim on one's devotion? Also, many girls report that the experience is unpleasant and then unable to reach orgasm. It's supposed to be so great, said one girl. I don't get it. One boy, on being asked if his girlfriend reached orgasm, said, "Oh, I couldn't ask her that. I didn't know her that well." Sexual intercourse without personal intimacy can only result in a loss of self-esteem. This is true also in marriage. I cannot really say much here. I'm just going to go back to what I said before. Just talk to people. Talk about what you feel and what you want to feel. And just be honest with yourself and your partner. if you feel unfulfilled in a physical relationship, speak to your partner about it. And if you don't feel they're going to do anything, or they don't value your opinion or feelings at all, then move on and find someone who does. A splendid book which examines all of the realities related to sex that confront adolescents, as well as their parents, is the Bishop James Pike's Teenagers and Sex. The central point is that sexual involvement bears with it an ethical responsibility. He says, "We are dealing not with principles and codes, but with the direct efforts one decisions may have on other persons for good or for ill." As Martin Buber, the philosopher theologian, has so well pointed out, our relationship to God is not I it, but I thou. Therefore, any relationship between one human being and another should be I thou. A fundamental moral norm that persons are not to be treated as things. Okay, that's fair enough. You shouldn't treat anybody as an object. Unless that person wants to be treated as an object, then do so, but you could also argue that if someone consents to that, then it's not really being treated as an object because it's something which they want or desire. Just be careful out there, people, okay? And follow your heart. Follow your heart and your brain in equal measure. Don't let one dominate the other. Whatever the decision, though, in each particular case, the point is that the decision to be made responsibly. Which is fair enough. Bishop Pike continues. In the long run, even more fundamental than what precisely our sons and daughters will and will not do is what they understand to be the meaning of the sex act itself, a sacrament, an outward and visible sign of an inward and spiritual grace. Excuse me, my nose keeps itching tonight. I realise it probably does look a bit weird. The physical act not only expresses the spiritual and emotional involvement of a man and woman, it is also a means whereby that involvement is strengthened. It is a good thing. Any restrictions upon it which might be found soon either from an absolutist or existentialist approach should be asked on the premise. What am I going on about? On the premise that it is a good thing. So good a thing that it should not be utilised under certain circumstances. If restraint is based on the fact that sexual intercourse is so good a thing, rather than on the notion that it is so bad a thing, young people will enter marriage with a much more wholesome attitude, with much greater likelihood of sexual fulfilment in marriage. Okay, I've said this before, just make sure you're compatible sexually, and if you're open in your communication, there should be minimal problems. I'm not going to judge you if you choose how you choose to have sex or if you choose not to. It's your life and you're free to do what you want with it. As I always say, people should be free to do what they want within reason, as long as it doesn't hurt others. And I'll stress it, within reason bit. Back to the book. Problem remains, how can ideas such as the foregoing be the subject of conversation between an adolescent and a grown-up if the two are separated by silence, by awkwardness, by mistrust or exasperation, by the teenager's dogmatic refusal to talk to mum and dad? Why should I? I know the pitch. The following conversation between myself and a 15-year-old girl illustrates a way in which PAC can be used to talk about the complicated relationship problems, including sex, which confront teenagers. At the time of this interview, the girl has seen 4 times in individual treatment sessions and 8 times in treatment groups. This is an individual session. D stands for Dr. S. You know, you're sounding just like a psychiatrist. Of course you are, but it's just so typical. D. Is that bad? S. Well, it's just like a television program that I just despise when they show these psychiatric programs. I hate it. And I'm sounding just like a typical patient. I mean, I really am. I know it. D. Why don't you talk about PAC? S. Oh, I can't today. I can't use it. I'm not using it now. I am dealing with everything totally, completely wrong. D. Do you know what you're saying? S. No. D. You're saying to this guy that's acting like a psychiatrist, I dare you to change me. Isn't that what you're saying? S. When did I say that to you? D. Well, that's what you are implying. I ask you, why don't you use your PAC and you say, I am not using it. I am not going to use it. I dare you to make me use it. S. I didn't say forever. I just said for today. I'm not using it and I don't feel like using it. I'm nervous, that's all. I've been nervous for a couple of days. D. So you want to play nervous today? S. No, I don't want to play anything. I want a stronger tranquilizer. D. You want a stronger tranquilizer? S. Why not? I need a stronger tranquilizer. I shouldn't have come today. You know I didn't want to come. D. You want a stronger tranquilizer because you're too lazy to use your PAC. S. I have been using it and I did try, but I'm short-tempered and I... D. So what's new? S. So what's new? Ha ha. That wasn't nice. But I mean, I'm very short-tempered and I wasn't when I got out of the hospital. D. Is this the only option you have, to be short-tempered? S. No, it isn't. Well, I try not to be, but sometimes I am. D. You blow off the handle? S. Not extremely, but I find myself getting mad. And then when I keep it inside of me, it makes me kind of shaky. Do you understand? I hate everything about this, and I hate everybody today. I'm going to quit psychiatry. Now doesn't that just sound like a typical patient? D. With a smile. I'm glad you're smiling. S. Oh, I can smile about it. It's making me nervous. But do you know what I do? D. What? S. If I smile, then I laugh, and then I get very upset and... D. Can you tell me what's upsetting you? S. No. D. Are you on the verge of tears? S. I hope not. No, I'm fine. I'm upset today. I hate this. This is getting us nowhere. Why don't we just stop my therapy and I'll take pills? What's the matter with me besides headaches and the regular bunch of stuff that seems to be? What is my problem? D. You don't want to grow. S. That's what you told me one time. You said I didn't want to grow up, and that wasn't fair. D. I don't know what up is. I said grow, you know. Open your mind to new thoughts. S. To what thoughts? D. P. A. C. S. I opened my mind to that when I was in the hospital. I came home and I was feeling pretty good. D. Why isn't your adult plugged in today? S. I don't know. D. All you can talk about is, I am nervous. I can't. I shouldn't have come here today. You're an old psychiatrist and I'm a patient. S. Well, that's what we are today. D. Well, that was a real statement. That came through the adult. That's what we are today. S. I can't be PAC every single day. D. Well, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I am. S. Okay, that's fine if you can do it, but I can't do it right now. D. Oh, why not? S. 'Cause I'm... D. Your child likes to take over. S. Well, every once in a while, I guess maybe it happens. I haven't been using PAC all my life, or even for a year or anything, I don't know. D. How are you and your daddy getting along? S. I have been very good to my parents. D. How is your mother? S. Fine. We have been closer than we have ever been, and I've been affectionate to both of them. Now I've been trying to be some sort of daughter that they can like now, because I don't know. I'm developing a guilt complex about. I feel that I've been so rotten and everything. D. Well, let's devote about 60 seconds to that, because I can't see that gets you anywhere, thinking about how rotten you are. S. If I keep on with this psychiatry, I'm going to be psychoanalyzing myself from here to doomsday. D. Is that bad? S. Well, yes. D. Not if it turns up some answers, though. S. No, it doesn't always. I have a very close friend, and he's almost insane, I think. He won't go to a psychiatrist. I've known him for years, and he's so far out of reality, it's pathetic. He psychoanalyzes himself all the time. He reads books. D. Is he a teenager? S. Yes. D. Well, it's one thing to psychoanalyze yourself without tools, but you have PAC to psychoanalyze yourself, and PAC will give you the answers you need. S. Well, still, okay, I'll tell you something. I don't know whether or not I want to be to use my adult all the time, and I try to use it most of the time. Sometimes I just don't want to. It's just kind of a battle. It's almost being actually perfect. It's handling everything the correct way at the right time. It's almost non-human sometimes. D. I know what you mean. Of course, we have said before. Bennett, we're in for a long one tonight, people. D. I know what you mean. Of course, we have said that before, that your child is what makes you charming and delightful to others. So it isn't that we want to kick the child out, but let's say that parent-adult-child is always around. I mean, the parent, the adult, and the child are always present. It's true the child may crowd out the adult and the emotions may take over, or the parent may crowd out the adult and the parent takes over. I guess the trick is to always keep the adult plugged in, even though the child is playing. If the child wants to play, let the adult go along to make sure that everything remains appropriate. Because the way that girls get into trouble is when the child takes over and plays, but plays games that are dangerous, right? S. Yes. You mean like being a teaser, something like this. D. Well, actually, I'm gonna quickly stop here. This is starting to show its age a bit, and it has a fair bit, but never ever call anyone a teaser, right? Because that is what a lot of people, especially nowadays, use to justify sexual violence, mostly against women. They would say they were teasers, and that would be used as a justification to say, well, yes, obviously you suffered that traumatic event because you teased. So, just going to say this now. Don't call anyone a teaser. And if you do feel that someone is tempting you in a sexual way, doesn't mean you have to bite, alright? Yes, I am looking inside of you. You know I'm right. Just stop and think, people, okay, before you do anything stupid, alright? S. Not knowing when to stop? Yes. D. Yes, right. Not being able to. When the adult is unable to say no to the child and make it stick. Any of us is in trouble. S. That means for anything, not just for... D. That's true. Everything. The child may want to take something that doesn't belong to him, or the child may want to use another person. The child may want to manipulate another person. S. Oh, stop talking that way. D. I have been watching small children manipulate grown-ups. S. I manipulate? That's wrong, right? D. Well, I don't know whether wrong is the appropriate word. But if you manipulate others and it frustrates them or makes them feel bad or upsets them, then I'll say this is something you want to get rid of. Or if I allow myself to be manipulated, I'm going to be upset. If I manipulate others and I don't recognise it, but they come at me, then I'm upset. See? So where did we learn to manipulate? Or to allow ourselves to be manipulated? At the age of 3 or 2? S. But how does it keep on? Because I was manipulating my father and still do to some degree. I don't know, maybe you don't call it manipulation or manipulating, but I could. Why, yes, I could. And he allowed himself to be, because I don't know what it was. Maybe it was. I manipulated him. Maybe I didn't. D. Well, what goes on between you and your father probably does have elements of manipulation. But part of it is father's enjoyment of his teenage daughter. You know, he enjoys seeing you happy. He enjoys seeing you do things, and he enjoys giving you things that's part of being a father of a delightful teenage daughter. But you can take advantage of his generosity, you know. Take advantage of his feelings. This isn't good for him either, because it leads you into kind of a hassle. S. I did that. D. What did you do? S. I took advantage of him, took advantage of his feelings. I expected to get everything I wanted. I expected quite a bit, yet he had so much affection for me and I wouldn't let him even touch me unless I was in the mood. I would move away from him and I was actually cruel sometimes. This was even going on in the hospital, and then one night, I said something horrible when he was bringing me to the hospital, when he was going to go down in the elevator and he wanted to hug me, I think. And I moved from him and I told him not to do it. Then I just kind of laughed and I said, Frustrates you, doesn't it? As if I was really trying to hurt him. He said yes, and he agreed with me. I felt badly then. D. Then did you hug him? S. No. D. That's a pity, because your adult would have let your child hug him, because your adult could have a value that not to hurt anyone is important. S. I try not to now, though. If he wants to hug me, I'll let him. If I don't feel like showing much affection, I'll just let him hug me and that's it. But I have been showing him affection. D. You don't want to hug him back? S. Well, now I'll go and kiss him on the cheek or something, like this. It doesn't actually show, it just says like this. And I'll show him some affection. I will be very nice, and I've done this to my mother too. I've done this purposefully to show them affection. But it wasn't a total act because, I felt... Now, before I go on, I'm just going to say this now. Hugging and kissing are great ways of showing affection towards people. But not everyone wants to be hugged, and not everyone wants to be kissed either. Just, if you are expecting that from someone, just make sure they actually feel comfortable doing it, okay? Just make sure they are. Okay? D. You see, the problem here with affection with the opposite sex is the child is afraid of sex. Whether it's a feeling of what others may think, your internal parent is watching your child and your child is fearful of sex because of the internal parent. But your adult can say, look, it's perfectly appropriate. Perfectly proper for you to give your father affection in the form of a physical embrace, and if you can do it, it's as a form of mastery of the adult over the child. S. I have been doing it. D. Good. S. I have been doing it very well. D. But you know it's a problem for teenagers. S. Well, I didn't know that. D. It really is. S. Is it? D. There is a great big word in here called taboo. S. I don't see why. D. No. This existed down through the generations taboo. It's okay for affection with sex if there are no blood ties. That's a great big taboo. But this is data that needs to be out in the open. I find that I can help any teenager to be perfectly natural and affectionate and outgoing with his parents. If I can help them to get the data out on the open to process it with their adult. And you can't be affectionate with the opposite sex, period. You know, it's as if you can't really be discriminating, selective. Once they see it, have the data out in the open, then they are free to be affectionate at the adult level and affectionate at the child level, and the adult will take care of the parent. The child doesn't have to be afraid of the parent because the adult is processing the data with regard to what is real. Parental data is dated, you know. What age? S. 3. D. That's right, and that's entirely different from what's real today. Besides, as we both know, you have a handsome daddy. When I see you two together, I see him looking at you, and I can see that you are the pride and joy of his life. S. I'm not. I'm so rotten it's pathetic sometimes. D. Well, why are you rotten? S. Because I've given him such misery. I feel sorry. He's a sucker. D. Well, you probably love him so much that you told me once that you have to do these things in order to sort of keep a distance, not get too close. S. Yes. Sometimes he, you know, that's unfortunate in some ways too. It's not boys really. I will try. I have a lot of friends who are boys, and it's something about them that I don't like, because they do think a lot about sex. And usually a lot of them when they look at me. Well, they wanted something from me and... D. How does that make you feel? S. Not very good. I don't know. I don't like to be touched unless I want to be touched, and boys do like to touch girls, and that bothers me. And I have an awful hard time saying no. I can say no, but I just get scared, and generally they get the idea. But when one doesn't, I'm going to be cooked, so I've got to watch it. D. Well, let's see. There are 3 sets of data always. The child wants to play. The parent says, you be ashamed, or you behave yourself, or you'd better watch out, or you know the parent comes out with a number of formulas about dealing with a situation like this. The adult will take into consideration that the child wants to play. The parent wants to be disapproving. The parent has a long list of standards to put into the picture. But the reality part which the adult is in tune with is, what does the transaction mean to you in reality? For instance, what do you get out of it? What are the dangers? What are the risks? What are the consequences? Do you remember in the group the girls who were in trouble were completely blind to consequences? Of course. So, let's get to it. We know the adult is the one who deals with consequences. The child is not interested in consequences. The child just wants to play. How many of these teenagers who were in trouble examined consequences carefully before they made the decision? Well, I'll tell you how many. 0. There are others who have a good adult. There are a few. I've seen them around. Many of them learned in the group here to develop an adult. S. For that? Well, it is hard to learn. Those are moral values. You get that from your parents, usually. I did. And you learn from each other. Teenagers do talk among themselves. D. Well, those are moral values. They're realistic or adult values of let's don't get hurt. Or if you are the most important person in the world, you should be to yourself in a way. You don't want to hurt that person. You don't want to get into situations that can louse up. And so on. S. Do you know what I do? D. What? S. I have a tendency to tease. In fact, I've been called a teaser before by boys, and that's not very good. D. Well, what do they mean? Do they mean that you are leading them on? S. Well, sort of, with a gesture or look, or just being there, or just doing something. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I don't know it, and sometimes I do it deliberately. D. Well, there are 2 ways to look at this. One is, you're being charming and attractive and delightful to be with, which is good. The other is, you're being seductive, which, S, is bad. And sometimes I even do that. D. Well, do you know where you learn to do that? Seduction is a game that is learned very early by little girls. To get some goodies, so they are taught early. S. When? D. Daddy looks at a little doll, and she acts cute, and Daddy takes out a piece of candy and takes out a toy. And so she is paid off for being cute. S. Laughing. Maybe that's why I learned. It's my father's fault then. D. There's no fault there. It's enjoyment for father and daughter. S. Yes, but you just don't do it to other. D. Well, it's kind of fun, isn't it? S. Oh yes. D. This is where the adult is, along with the child when the child is playing, like playing seduction, or playing tease, or whatever word you want to call it. The adult will deal with the transaction when the boy makes his pitch. S. It's not just boys, it's men. If a man looks at me, I'm flattered. Sometimes, if it is not a filthy look, and I actually sometimes, most of the time, want them to, but yet when they do half of the time, or more than half of the time, I actually, am not insulted, but get kind of frightened, or not frightened. Not really frightened, but I wouldn't look at him twice. D. This is what he is saying and what you are saying. He is saying, look, I would like to use you. And you're saying, I know it, you so-and-so, but you're not going to get away with it. So here we are back to manipulation, You like to play tease or seduction because it gets you gold stamps. Here you're back to transactional trading stamps again. You say it builds your morale. Well, you don't really need this. Every woman plays this game. It does build a female image, the female morale. But the guy that's giving you the gold stamps wants something in return, And this is what the adult has to be prepared to deal with. So some of those individuals have very attractive gold stamps, They got 14 karat gold with lace all around them. It's real difficult, Big, handsome, broad shoulders and stuff. All you have to do is, just like a discussion here, get all the data out in the open. And you have a choice once you have processed it through the adult. You don't have to go all the way like some girls because that is their only option. You have a good adult. You have the option of playing the game up to a point and saying, well, it's nice knowing you and then, whatever. S. Oh, that scares me. I could never let that happen. Let's force by force because it scares me. I don't want anything like that. D. Why are you scared? S. I don't know, but it scares me. D. Maybe you have to be scared in order to keep your child from getting out of control. Once you develop confidence in this adult of yours and you have a good adult, you have it made. Because your adult can handle every transaction. Even though the child is enjoying the transaction, the adult still is calling the signals, and this is what will save you. S. I see, my time is up. I'll see you when the group starts again. Goodbye. D. Okay, and remember, I'm okay, you're okay. End of interview. That was quite long, and I mostly kept the voices up. And, well, you know what I think of most of these subjects which we've already discussed, so I don't really need to say it again. Back to the book. Almost over. almost over this session, but you can probably tell it by the timer. Through the troubling years of adolescence, when young people sometimes seem to turn a deaf ear to the words of their anxious parents, there nevertheless is a hunger to hear and experience reassurances of mum and dad's love and concern. The longing for this reassurance was stated in a compelling way recently by my 5-year-old daughter Gretchen. When mother arrived on the scene, Gretchen was maintaining a precarious balance as she walked along the narrow edge of a brick flower enclosure. Mother said, "You be careful or you'll fall down into those flowers." Gretchen said, "Do you care about the flowers or about me?" The 5-year-old in the adolescent asks the same question, and he does not state it in so many words. Parents who are sensitive to this unstated plea and who, for acts of love, concern, restraint and respect, demonstrate repeatedly, "It is you we care about," will It is you we care about will find the years of adolescence can produce rewards and surprises far beyond their expectations. And that, people, is it for tonight. Longer than I planned it would be, but that's life. But on the plus side, look, only got this little bit left now. So the book is almost done. Admittedly, it is a bit dated in places, but it's been an interesting read all the same. So until next time, people, take care of yourselves, okay? Bye.